Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, if you got a darker colored grout anyway, it's not going to show the dirt. Mine was a cream color.
No, mine's a dark gray, and then it turns a little bit lighter when it dries. But yeah, it's looking pretty dang nice, I tell you.
If it ends up being the gray, sometimes that's not enough, you can get a stain for them. You just paint it on, and it'll stain it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, no,
Hey,
basically to do it to theirs. So they had gray tile, and then it wasn't dark enough, so they just got this stain, kind of like a type thing. That.
Oh no, ours is dark gray. Sorry.
It's 7:15.
Oh. Oh well. Okay, sorry.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone this evening, and this is our Albany City Council meeting for July 22nd. And I'll call the meeting to order, and then Jorge will put up a screen of the flag and with our Pledge of Allegiance. And if everybody can be able to just recite that in your homes. Okay, is it coming up, Jorge? There.
Allegiance to the flag.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you. And then Mary, roll.
Dick Olson,
Here.
Mike Sykes,
I am here.
Bessie Johnson,
I'm here too.
Rich Kellum,
I'm here.
Alex Johnson,
Here.
Bill Coburn.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure I got everyone on the screen. I'm used to Bessie on the main screen. She logged in later. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so council, you've got a couple public hearings this evening, and these are legislative ones. And first, I will open the public hearing at 7:17 p.m. And this is for our Parks and Recreation and Fire and Life Safety resolutions that we have. And so, Kim, I think you're on. If you want to talk first about the Parks and Rec fees, and then Chief Wooten, I think I saw you come on, and you'll be talking about the fire and life safety services. And then we will, and then there wasn't one for public comment, but okay, Kim.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and councilors. Good to see you again. And I promise this will be the last time we talk Parks and Rec fees for at least 11 and a half months. So based on the conversation on Monday evening, I brought back a resolution with option B, which is up on the screen right now. And so if we don't have any additional questions, then we can move forward with the resolution.
Okay, council, any questions? Okay, I don't see anyone. Okay, Chief Wooten.
I think Laura's coming on, and Laura's gonna present.
Okay.
Yes, good to see you, Mayor and councilors as well, and Peter. So I took all your suggestions from the work session we had the other evening and revamped the memo to reflect those changes that you suggested. Does anyone have any questions with the changes made?
Okay, anyone have any questions? Okay, Penny. There was nobody that had submitted for testimony or to make any comments on this public hearing. And Mary, would you like to confirm that?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. And with that, then I will close the public hearing at 7:19 p.m. And council, you have a resolution for the Parks and Rec fees on page 3.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those,
Aye.
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 Sorry, I didn't hear it.
You cut, well, Mayor, what part of what you said cut out?
Yeah, really.
oh, that's weird, yeah.
We're really listening.
One's probably moving over, but all those opposed, anyone opposed, say aye. Okay, motion carried. And next would be for the fire and life safety fees. This is a resolution on page 12.
Move to approve.
Move for adopt. I'll
Okay,
second.
Second.
all right. Who made the motion?
I did.
Mike.
Mike, and then Bill second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, we got through that public hearing. Next is public hearing for Public Works. And this is going to be adjusting the Public Works fees and charges. So we're going to have one public hearing over item A, 1 through 8. So you've got the 4 items front page and the 4 on the back page. So we'll have the public hearing on that and I'll open it up at 7:21 p.m. And pardon me, Dick.
Quick page 31.
Resolution starts on page 21.
Okay.
And there was nobody that submitted any comments. Was that correct, Mary?
That is correct.
Okay. And staff, which staff would like to take the lead on these items? Rob? Oh, we need your mic.
Still not getting it,
Nope.
Rob.
We can't hear you. Oh, Rob, let's see. You see, Jorge, can you tell if he's got his mic on?
Go ahead and mute yourself, Rob.
Now it's turned off. There we go.
My computer died, so I'm back.
I wonder why you're bottom of the screen now.
Yeah, like,
Mayor, why don't I just go ahead and give a quick introduction since Rob seems to be having some audio issues. The resolutions that are in front.
I think you are too, Jeff. It sounds garbled.
All right.
Okay, try it again.
Does the sound better now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Just keep it real brief. What you have in front of you are inflationary only adjustments to our various public works fees and charges consistent with what you saw at the work session. We have not incorporated any of the potential additional step increases on the STCs based on the direction that we received from council. So I'm not aware of anyone from the public contacting us or receiving any comments officially today for the public hearing. That's about it.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, if you have a cell phone, go ahead and call this number on the top here of the agenda. And then enter the access code there.
Council, do you have any questions of Jeff? And then for when Rob on?
I had no questions.
Zach, would be okay there? Should I take it off of that?
Do you think Rob
I think
heard
he's
that,
gone.
Jorge?
Hey, Bob? Seems like he's frozen there.
If there's questions, I can attempt to ask them. Otherwise, I'd suggest just moving forward. We don't have a fancy presentation since we already covered the details with at the work session.
Okay, so council, do you have any questions of staff over these 8 items?
So these are just, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Alex.
These are just inflationary increases, right?
That is correct.
Okay, the cost of doing business went up, so we had to pay a little more. I'm fine. Thank you for answering my question, Joe.
Okay, all right. So if there's no other questions of staff, then I'll close the public hearing at 7:26 p.m. There was no public comments for this item. So council, you can probably go ahead and do it in one motion, but it's going to end up being resolutions on page 21, 23, 29, 38, 39, 40, 42, 43.
Move to approve all 8 resolutions.
Second.
All right. You couldn't memorize those, Rich?
Why bother? You just said them.
I know.
You
Yeah,
read them though.
I
You
figured
didn't memorize them.
it was going to be a move to approve. Okay. Any discussion, questions, discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried on all 8 resolutions. Okay. Next is business from the public, but we didn't have anybody that submitted anything ahead of time by noon for business from the public. So with that, and I've not seen anybody online that would be from business from the public. So next would be award of a contract, and this is a sole source procurement of physician advisory services. This is a resolution that's on page 47. And does staff have any comments on this?
Good evening. Yep, Shane Wooten here. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background of what you have in front of you. A physician advisor, for those of you that don't know, is a board certified physician that allows us to work underneath his or her license. So as EMTs in the state of Oregon, we just can't go out and start pushing medications and delivering treatments to patients without that physician supervising what we do. The physician creates what are called standing orders, and those orders then dictate that you're allowed to push these medications during these certain times. And that then becomes the foundation of what we're able to do when we go out on emergency calls. Well, historically, 28 years ago, when I first started at Albany Fire Department, none of the local physicians really wanted to do the work. It rotated between the emergency room doctors at Albany General, and it was kind of, a lot of them looked at it a bit as just an extra duty they had to do and they weren't thrilled about. Up until about 11, 12 years ago, Dr. Russ McEwen, an emergency room physician at Albany General, became our physician advisor, and then in turn, he was passionate about it, and he became physician advisor of all Lynn County fire departments, as well as some in Benton County, and was also the physician advisor for the Lynn County Sheriff's Office for their dispatch center. Because dispatch centers, since they're making recommendations when you call 911, they also have to have a physician advisor. So unfortunately, Dr. Russ McEwen, through some changes at Albany General, is going back to his home state of Idaho, which put us in a position of looking for a physician advisor. Well, as it turns out, there were 2 local physicians that are interested in taking on this endeavor. Dr. Sprague from Lebanon community, He is going to be the physician advisor of all departments east of I-5. And the proposal you have in front of you is a contract with, or is permission to enter a contract with Dr. Trey Woods. He will be the physician advisor for all departments west of I-5, to include Lynn County Sheriff's Office as well as the Benton County Dispatch Center. So this contract will allow us to continue with the regionalization that Dr. Russ McEwen started. We're just going to do it with 2 doctors instead of 1 now. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chief Wooten, I just want to thank you for this, because after all these years, I didn't realize that this, was the way it went. So if we have 2 doctors that are willing to do it, I think that's great, and it'll probably be best to have the east and west side of the I-5. So appreciate you bringing this to us. Thank you.
No problem. And yeah, they have quite a few more responsibilities other than just being our physician advisor. They provide training. They make sure that we're able to do our skills proficiently. And then also they do quality assurance on some of our treatments that we do to patients to make sure that people are being treated and cared for at a high level.
I'll be darned. Very good.
So are they called upon, like how often? Daily, or is it periodically, or what?
I have Deputy Chief Kyle Romey online. I'll tell you, and he can probably fill in the blanks here, but they at least come by and do a 2-hour training session once a month. And then Chief Romey, he frequently, as issues come up throughout the month, and I would guess, Kyle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but probably 2-3 times a month, we're in contact with the physician advisor, getting advice on how to handle something, or they'll reach out to us if we transport to another facility and the doctor's wondering why we maybe did a treatment a certain way. Then the physician advisor and Kyle will chat it out and figure out if we did things correctly or if we need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, how'd I do?
Now we can see ya. Yeah.
You did well, Chief. Very well articulated. Yeah, we talk really on an as-needed basis, but it's multiple times a month, and then also talk about quality assurance. He's also an advocate for us in the local medical community, whether it's through Good Sam or Albany General or just anyone else in the medical community. So, and also he advises on infectious control issues as well, which right now with COVID is also an additional, obviously hot topic. So I would say I'm probably converse with him quite a bit more with the COVID now, but it is multiple times a month.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any more questions? Okay, you do have a resolution on page 47. I think Mike's approved.
Alex, move to approve.
Okay, Alex said okay. And what's
Second.
Okay, all right. To approve in a second. Any more discussion? All right, all those say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. Okay, all right, thank you, Chief, and thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Next is adoption of the consent calendar, and if there isn't any items that need to be pulled off this evening, then I'll entertain a motion.
Let's see anything.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. Okay, and then staff reports. So reclassification request for street maintenance and transit. This starts on page 61. And Chris, I'm assuming that one's yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. She's somewhere.
Can you see me?
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay. Well, good evening. So this is a relatively small organizational change that I'm requesting tonight. In the current biennial budget, we proposed adding an additional FTE to help with transportation programs. So the plan is to take our existing current transportation superintendent position and reclassify it downward to airport and transit manager, and then add a street maintenance supervisor. So that's what was approved in the budget. What I'm asking tonight is essentially to take the airport responsibilities from transit and move them over to the street maintenance position. That's primarily due to just a shifting in responsibilities. There's a lot more growth and demand for management in transit, and the street program does a lot of the work at the airport anyway, so it makes a little more sense. Because we're adding another level to the street maintenance supervisor, that would classify that position up to a manager level. And even though that position is being classified up, the economic impact is really on the transit fund, which is now, instead of paying for half of a transit manager, would have to pay for the full transit manager. So there at the bottom of the memo there, you can see the increase in expenditures for transit. The good news about transit operational expenditures is that they're reimbursable at 50%. So there's adequate resources in the transit fund for that move. That's essentially it, unless there are any questions.
Okay, questions?
Was the airport committee contacted about this?
Probably. I don't remember if we ran it by them actually, because this would have been in January of 2019 that we did that, and I can't remember. We don't typically talk with them about sort of city management type things, more about their ideas on ways to improve the economic and revenue generating capacities at the airport. So I don't remember if we ran it by them or not. I'm not sure.
Question in
Well,
that
it doesn't
vein.
look like it'll have much effect on the airport.
No, and they know, I mean, that's the street group is primarily the group that interacts with the airport anyway, so it should work out fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
In that vein, is there a change in management person to the airport committee?
Yes,
Because of it?
because the existing representative to the airport commission is John Goldman, who's the transportation superintendent. He's retiring. So no matter what we did, there would be a new staff person on the airport commission.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Peter?
Oh, I was just going to support what Chris said. The airport commission's role isn't really to address management of internal staff. It's to look at policy and look forward and strategy and how to make the airport serve the community best. So they wouldn't necessarily have a say.
Well, not whether or not they had a say, but just whether or not they were apprised of it, so it didn't become a,
Right.
Surprise to them.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think
they
John-
know that John's retiring, so
Done
there
deal.
would be some, yeah.
How's
Okay.
our new manager at the airport doing now that we're talking about it?
Are you referring to the FBO?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to check in with him. I haven't talked with him since the COVID-19 stuff started, but he's been doing pretty well. Now, he's not making a fortune, but he's able to grow his business. So he's been very steady. He's been a really good influence at the airport.
Good. Well, no news is good news as far as the airport is concerned.
I did speak to him yesterday, Councilor Olson, and business is definitely picking up for them. It's not back to where it once was, but it's picking up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, council, so you'll need to authorize this reclassification of this position.
Move to authorize.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried.
Thank you.
I'm
Aye.
picking some feedback though on somebody's line.
Well, you're breaking up, Mayor. We're getting some words and some other words we're not getting, or at least I'm not getting.
I'm not either.
You're not either? Huh,
Same here.
I got the same electronic device going I've always been using, same position. Huh, that's weird. Okay, next is the accepting LCD grant for HB 2001. And who's going to talk about that one? Jeff? Let me try
Yes, that's mine, Mayor. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so you may feel that you've already considered this issue, and in part you have. You're on step 2 of 3 with this grant. Just a few short weeks ago, you authorized us to submit a grant application to DLCD. We were fortunate enough to be successful in that grant. And so tonight, this resolution is to authorize us at staff to sign that grant agreement. The third and final step in the process regarding the grant acceptance will be, and putting it into action, will be to basically authorize the expenditures in the supplemental budget. And so that will follow a few weeks from now. So again, this is the second step out of 3. This grant is for work we're going to be required to do anyways. So we're very fortunate to be able to offset what would have been a general fund expense with some grant funds. It's not going to cover all of the work, but it will cover a good majority of it. So all we're after tonight is just authorization to proceed with signing the agreement and accepting it. Thank you.
Move to authorize.
Wait, what? Second.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
I have to say, good thing that we're getting the grant, but this is another one of those legislative decisions that comes from the state that people would say was kind of a waste of public funds because they planned this change and then it costs money to be able to do this change. So yeah, if they would have just let local control anyway, we wouldn't have to be going through this process and having to have the funds.
Amen.
Okay, all right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Right.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Next is business from the council, and Dick, you're right on the top of my screen. Do you have anything?
I don't, but you're breaking up again for some reason.
Yeah.
That is so weird. Yeah. I mean, I keep hearing somebody having a lot of.
Try talking to your left again. You didn't seem to break up then.
Yeah, I'm talking to the iPad.
Yeah, but talk to your left.
If I.
Well, I guess it's your right. Talk the other way.
Oh, this way?
That way.
Okay, I'll try. Let me turn off my other fan. Maybe it's it. So next, let's see.
Well, you sound fine when you talk to your right side.
Okay. All right, Bill, do you have anything?
The only suggestion I have for these meetings is if everyone can mute if they're not talking, and not to pick on Dick, but just as an example, I heard his phone ring earlier, and that might be part of the back feedback and some of the poor communications is too many mics are open. So just a suggestion.
She doesn't like us anymore.
I turned off my. Oh, does it sound any different?
No.
You're still breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
It's
I'm here.
worse.
Well, we're almost done, thank goodness.
It sounds like somebody's got like echoing going in one of the other screens.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Next month.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, and Alex?
I don't have anything this evening.
Rick? Yeah, see, there's something that's running that I hear popping in and out. Rich?
I guess I'd like to get comments from people about, while we haven't had the problem in Portland and Seattle, there has been an issue where firebombers were caught, they started to prosecute them, and then they were let go without any prosecution at all, without any, well, at this point, no stick at all. And I guess I'm wondering, while we haven't had that problem, I would like to send a message to our local district attorney saying, if we have someone creating hate and discontent to those kind of levels, that we think they ought to be prosecuted. I'd like to know what other people think about that.
Okay. Now, boy, what is that?
No. Yeah, I just want to say that, we can't tell others in other cities what to do. I agree that something's just not going right. And I would think that in Albany, Lynn County, I think that we would have a different result from if anyone, actually damage stuff. I would think that our police department, district would be right on it and not let it get out of hand like it is. Right now, even my relatives are writing me and saying, what's with Portland, So I think we'd be okay, and I don't think we can, other than sending it to the district attorney or to Chief Harnden. Yeah.
That's the only one I was talking about. And it is not so the district attorney would or would not do something. It is to send a message to whatever lowlife out there. You don't come here and do this kind of stuff and get away with it as a deterrent, not because I think Doug Martini would ever even consider not going after him.
Mayor,
Mike?
Well, I got to go along with what Rich saying, because Portland right now has a cancer. They've got a problem up there, and my concern is it's going to spread to the other portions of the state because there's nobody standing up. I don't mind protesting. Protesting is fine. That's a constitutional right. But when things start getting burned, buildings start getting spray painted, windows start getting broken, things of that nature, that's no longer a protest. That's a riot. And I'm afraid and concerned that cancer of Portland can spread to the rest of the state because we do not have a governor that's standing up to it. And we don't have a mayor in Portland that's standing up to it and saying enough is enough. After 50 days of this, 50 plus days, you would think that somebody would get a clue.
I know, which it is very sad to think that they should have nipped this in the bud from day one. But I worry about it. It doesn't send a good message to Oregon. I mean, it's probably a good thing that we're not really encouraging tourism right now, but it doesn't help tourism to Oregon. So it hits national news, and it kind of looks like we're kind of a violent area. But thank goodness we're not Portland. And yes, I agree. I hope none of this would come down to our community, but I think Portland kind of turned their heads away from it, thinking it would go away. And I think that was a mistake. Now is, when is it going to go away? So it's just really sad to see what's happening, because I feel sorry for the people that live up there. I hear about it from people and I see the photos. My husband's up there and he sees it, and it's darn ugly what's up there. So, yeah, Dick?
Well, I personally think Black lives do matter. And I think something needs to be done that cops that murder Black people or other people need to be held accountable. And we presently don't have rules that allows that accountability. And I think we, those who are demonstrating, need to keep on demonstrating until something does happen. And I think if the feds would just stay home, it would be peaceful demonstration, and I think they are causing the problem. So I join with the governor, the mayor of Portland, our two senators, to tell the federal troops to go back where you belong and stay out of here. You haven't been invited, and stay home.
Alex?
So I have a problem with the federal police officers being in town using bully tactics. That's a military unit, not a police force. Policing is not what you're saying on TV. However, I do have a problem with people using the Black Lives Matter to get their agendas across. It's just frustrating to see that they're using the Black Lives issue to do their mayhem. And there's people out there that are not part of the Black Lives movement causing a lot of havoc. And it's taken, I do think so. And it's been taken away from what really needs to happen in this country. It needs to be racial justice. It needs to be equality, like we're supposed to be standing up for. I don't like the lawlessness by anyone. I don't care who you are, where you're from. I don't like lawlessness. I don't like crime. I moved to Oregon to get away from a city that had crime growing, spreading. I've been here 26 years. I've never seen anything like this in the city of Oregon, in any city in Oregon except for Portland. And so don't get it twisted. This is not about what's going on up there. It's not about Black Lives Matter. They may be saying it, but the violence and the crime is not happening. It's not about that.
I think it's Antifa.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, it's well said. Yeah. So, it paints kind of it's not fair to the Black Lives Matter movement too, because this is a
distraction from it. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I do feel sorry for the businesses up there and just the construction, literally just shutting things down. It's not right. A handful of people that needs to stop. So, anyone else have to say? Is that it, Rich, or would you?
Well, I guess if enough of us think that it's a good idea, I would ask that Sean or staff, conduct something that, and make sure that what it says is the people who are burning and pillaging are the ones that we don't like. I mean, we have an absolute right to protest. That's not even a question. It's the rest of them I have a problem with. I see Sean is trying to get.
Well, but remember what we had? I had all of you kind of sign on to that one news release that we did, and that's been darn near 2 months ago. Remember, and it was sort of stating that we fully support protesting, but it was not, for keep it peaceful. Is that what you're thinking on that, Rich?
Well, that same kind of thing. But since we did it, there have been at least two local West Coast cities who decided they weren't going to prosecute. Well, there have been over 110 arsons in the last 10 days in Portland. 110. And they're not putting any of them in jail. Or at least the ones they took, they gave them away. Has nothing to do with protest. I think Martin Luther King said, the first time you throw a bottle or a brick, you're no longer protesting.
Right.
Mayor Sean is trying to get in edgeways here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that any type of vandalism that goes beyond a misdemeanor and is considered a felony would be something that the DA's office would prosecute. However, anything that's a misdemeanor crime in the city limits would go to the city attorney's office. And I can assure you, we will prosecute any type of vandalism in the city, and we will ask for a severe sentence. We're not gonna, my office, I don't believe in tolerating that. I agree with what Alex said. I don't think that's supporting a cause at this point if they're smashing windows and destroying businesses that local people own and use for their livelihood. So just put that the rest. I will assure you that our office will prosecute all of it.
Very good. Very good.
So when Sean was talking, I was all of a sudden was picking up a lot of feedback. Was anybody else hearing that? You were too, yeah. So I think it's almost everybody's video. But Sean, the only downside to that is a lot of times when we do arrest somebody from the city level, then the county jail lets books and release. So if you had somebody coming in and did damage, it's kind of beyond our control to keep them locked up before they ever have their court date.
That is true, Mayor. We are having a problem right now with the county jail holding our people, and that is something that Captain Lynn is discussing with the jail and the county, and we've met with Judge Reed on that as well. He's aware of the problem. We're working on that, and hopefully the county starts holding our defendants some or longer. I'm not sure if it's a COVID issue or if it's a contractual issue at this point. We have not been able to determine that yet, but we are working on that. So
it is much more of a COVID issue, Mayor. There are some minor contractual points, but one can't forget that the pandemic is creating a real problem for the jail system too. So if that wasn't the case right now, you'd be looking at a very different picture.
And there's still also, we also use fines and work crew and things like that as well. If the jail doesn't hold them, we have other, other punishments we can levy against them, that the judge can levy against them. So.
Yeah. Okay. Rich, anything else? This was your item.
You're muted, Rich.
That's all I had. The question is, are we willing to do that?
That's up to you guys. Sounds like it. I mean, are you wanting a motion?
Well,
maybe, or Bill, are you wanting to speak, or was that, were you agreeing? I thought you were.
I do want to speak. I don't think it's fair to ask staff to try and come up with some wording that we all might agree to. Rich, I would suggest that you come up with some proposed language and we approach it that way. It may be difficult to draft a document that we all agree with, but if we got to start somewhere, I quite honestly would like to have it be your thoughts and the way you would phrase it, and that'd be a good starting place.
Okay, well, I can do that. It's too bad we don't have Maryland.
I know. So.
Okay, that's all I had. I'll make something and send it out to everybody, I'll send it to Peter. That way, I'm not trying to talk to everybody.
So, Rich, you might want to just pull off that original one we did a couple months ago, or 1st of June, and then just kind of modify that. That might be a good starting point on it. Might help out.
I'll get to it.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll see it in a couple of days, probably.
Well, and then hopefully maybe before we meet next, all of this will totally go away, what's happening in Portland. So that'd be a blessing if it did. So, but okay. Let's see. Next with, let's see what I got. I think Bessie. And did I get everybody?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. The only thing I had is I think all of you received the email from Mary Abraham. It's the neighborhood that is down on the Willamette neighborhood that was wanting to appeal the staff decision to have it go to the planning commission for the, and I don't know the name of it, but it'd be the old
American Simwood.
That down by Bowman Park, and they wanted to see if they wanted it to go to the planning commission and for the council to waive the fee for that amount. So Sean, do you want to kind of weigh in with your thoughts on that?
Sure, Mayor. Yeah, the email you saw today had a lot of content in it, and so that if that particular application is appealed to the planning commission, it's not a good idea for the council to discuss the merits of the application that was in that email today or the supporting documentation that was provided, because that will go back to the planning commission and they'll have to make a decision on that will then get potentially appealed to LUBA. And so if council discusses it in a public meeting without a public hearing and any kind of notice, there could be some bias towards the applicant on that part. So I would recommend not discussing the merits of it. On the other hand, I think it was Mary Abram was asking for a fee waiver of the appeal fee to the planning commission. From what I read, and it's obviously the council's decision because the fees are adopted by resolution by council, so the council would have the decision of whether they waive a fee or not. I didn't see anything in the letter that said why the fee should be waived or how they were prejudiced because of the fee. But again, that's for council to determine. I would just caution council not to talk about the merits of the actual project in this meeting. So.
Mm-hmm. So the process we used to have years back. So when something would come to the planning commission, then it could be appealed to the council. And actually years ago, anything that came to the planning commission still went to the council. So then over time, there's been a lot of development changes, and it's always been kind of focused on streamlining the process. And that was sort of a push on the developer side to sort of streamline that process. So it's sort of taken the citizens out of the process and neighborhoods. And so sort of some of the changes that we had, this one was a staff decision. And then in order for a neighborhood had a neighborhood meeting, but it's not in front of any legislative body for decision. And then staff made the decision, and then the neighborhood wanted to be able to have more input. And then that's where they don't feel it's fair to have to pay to be able to have their, legislative body be able to hear the application and their appeal. So that's sort of the question. It's either uphold our policy that does say that they do have to pay a fee, or you have the option, since it's a council decision over policy, to waive a fee.
Yes, while I feel for people who have, and they feel that they have a need to talk about it, everybody else has to pay the fee. If I don't like what it is next door, that's what I have to do. And while we are in a budget crunch and all the rest of it, I don't think giving up the money is a good idea. I think it sends the wrong message.
Okay. Anyone?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It sets a bad precedent, but I don't know where you would find a lower rent neighborhood than that neighborhood down by the sewage disposal plant. And if I were going out to raise $300 there, I think I'd probably have a hard time doing it unless I wanted to pay it out of my own pocket, which I could easily do. But I don't live there, and it's not my situation. And I have objected all along in this streamlining business where we stiff arm the public and say, you shut up and don't come to the council, don't come to the planning commission. And I think it's time we turn that around. Maybe this is a good time to do it. I'd like to have them be able to come and look if they would like to do it. And again, I'm probably one voice crying in the wilderness, but so is that appropriate that they come to the council, or do they have to come to the planning commission if they can raise the $303?
It's planning commission, but she can do that.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear what Sean says.
Yeah, our code requires that they go back through the planning commission for an appeal. The city council has the ability under our code to always call up something. So if the planning commission makes a decision and council wants to call it up before it goes to LUBA, they can do that. Consequently, also, we're making some changes to our Article 1 of our development code. And this is one of the things that will get changed. I believe on this one, we'll go to council before LUBA in the future. It kind of back like what the mayor was saying it used to be like. We're kind of bringing that back.
Good.
But I do agree with Councilor Olson that waiving the fee could set a precedent. And then everyone else comes to any appeal and wants us to waive their fees as well. And that might not be a good thing. So.
Now, am I right that this development has changed from 2-story apartment houses to 3-story, and with about 5.5 as many people living there as was originally proposed?
I don't think we can talk about the merits of it, Dick.
Right.
So,
right.
It's not the merits. I'm wondering if things had changed between the time that the public could comment and the time that we're now supposed to decide.
So in a nutshell, without going through specifics of the project went through staff and then the planning commission for approval. The planning commission and staff both approved the project, and then there were some changes made to it. After the approval, staff determined those changes were considered minor modifications and did not require a full-blown hearing again. And I believe the people that you're hearing from in the emails disagree with that and think it should require a new application. So they have an appeal right to do that, but that's what they're here tonight to ask for, is about the fee, or that's what the email was about. It's about waiving the fee. So
they can appeal, but it's going to cost them $300. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm not hearing
I'd like to move that we waive the $300 appeal fee because the plans changed apparently before and after. So I'll make that a motion.
Okay. Is there a second to Dick's motion? Okay, I'm not seeing a second, Dick.
I'm not surprised.
Okay. All right. And I will let the citizen know, Mary, that had contacted that the council didn't be on that. So, okay, that was it that I had. And Peter, did you have any?
Mayor. We've been rolling along and on a really good pace, so I'm really reluctant to extend us by an amount of time. But Jeff Blaine needs to get some guidance from you all, either tonight or at a next work session, on how to cope with risks associated with our current status of not being in compliance with the state's guidelines on ADUs. So I'd turn it over to Jeff.
Thanks, Peter. So just real quickly tonight, right before COVID hit, we were in the midst of revisiting our code language on ADUs, and there was some discussion about trying to resolve the difference in the size of ADUs that we allow. And that discussion kind of got cut short as we shut down things with COVID. And so The grant that we accepted tonight is a good reminder, our East I-5 TGM grant. By not being in compliance with the ADU requirements, we're putting those grant funds at risk if the letter that we had received from Thousand Friends is to continue to progress in its process, as well as some other state shared revenue consequences, if I remember right, from the research that Sean did previously. So I know it's not a fun conversation, but I think it's one that we need to try to put to rest and behind us. And just the grant going through was a reminder for me that we needed to bring this back up and try to settle it. So if there's a path forward that we can pursue, that would be good. Either with just getting some specific guidance on what to put forward in the next package to run through the Planning Commission and the City Council, or if you'd like us to bring the discussion back to the next work session, we're happy to do that as well. But I think we had reached consensus on everything except for the size, and then if you were tweaking something on the percentage as you compromised on the size component. I think there's pretty much consensus on everything else. That's where we're at. I'm sorry to bring it back up, but kind of need to do that.
Why don't you bring it to a work session so then you can refresh all of our memories and we can have that ordinance in front of us. But I do know Thousand Friends Appeal, they had, have you heard from them recently? Because they had said that because of COVID, they were dropping, you know, and if they were understanding because of the situation and were dropping at that time.
Yeah, they haven't dropped anything. They basically just pressed the pause button.
Right, but have you heard from them recently?
I haven't talked with them in the last couple of weeks. No.
Okay, so so then why don't you bring that back so we can be able to look at it again, that ordinance, at the next work session.
Okay, happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, council? All right, did you have anything else?
Are we being blackmailed to some extent, do you think, Jeff?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I think all they want us to do is comply with the minimum standards that the state came up with and not asking for anything more, although they'd like us to do more. They're not expecting us to do more. They're just wanting us to toe the line and do the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Should have asked the question before we accepted the grant, but yeah.
Well, Dick,
okay.
Dick, if that's the way you feel about that, then we don't need to accept any money from the feds or the state or anybody else, and we'll just stand out there and do it our own. Okay? It was passed by a legislative session, and I think 4 of the councilors have stood by the 900 square feet, and I believe that was the only thing that was hanging us up, and has been the only thing that's hung us up, is we wanted 900 square feet, and it was vetoed by the mayor a 3 times, and that's where it hung up, and I believe that's where it's at. So when it comes back, I believe that's where we're going to be hung again, and that's all I got.
We won't get into it tonight, so I can say a lot more, but okay. Staff have anything else? Okay. All right. But do you have anything else? We did this meeting in 1 hour, folks. We've been having some late online meetings. So our next meeting would be August 10th work session and August 12th regular session. Have I been breaking up recently? Is it still doing it?
No.
So it's
occasionally.
It's nothing of anything, fans in my house or anything. I don't know what it could be. So yeah. But been hearing a lot of background on everyone too. So okay. With that, then we are adjourned, and thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
This conference is no longer being recorded.